Hello. Today I'm going to show you guys how to set up your own Kaspa node on your local network, um, and how to mine from it from your KS0. And we're also going to set up some pretty monitoring tools like this so you can actually see how the status. And like for here on my KS0 in the past day, I would actually mine 3 blocks, which is pretty freaking lucky considering the network is almost at 15 petahash. But we're going to use a couple of websites for guides. First one, when we're setting up the node itself, we're going to be using Son of a Text newsletter or Substack, where he's talking about how to set up a Kaspa node and mine to it. But he is actually setting up from a VPS, and we're not going to do that. We're going to use a virtual machine. My actual node is an older computer that I just wasn't using anymore, but you can also use a virtual machine, which I'm going to show you guys today. And then once we have the node up, synced, and running, we're going to use Matthew King's Substack. And he talks about how to set up the stratum bridge, which is what the KS0 is going to use to connect to our node and mine from. So let's first set up, and we're going to use Ubuntu 2004, which is what the same thing that Senatech was using to set up his node. So first thing is we're using VirtualBox to set up our virtual machine. So we're going to set machine. Let's see. Well, why is the new grade out? Hold on a second. Let me check. I'll be right back. All right, I just had to restart my VirtualBox manager because I was playing around with it before. Kaspa node 2. And we're using Ubuntu 20.04. You could probably get away with two cores, but I'm going to use 4. I recommend for a full-blown Kaspa node 4-core, 16 gig. You can probably get away with less, but I have a bunch of memory and a Ryzen 9 12 core, so I have plenty of resources. All right, and then probably get away with 100 gig, but I'm using 200. And with my VirtualBox, I always like to pre-allocate the full size of the drives because I've had issues before where you running a node where it was set to expand on its own. It wasn't expanding. So yeah, I just think it works better if you pre-allocate the full size when you create your virtual machines on VirtualBox. All right, and then I guess after it creates the image, then I'll be able to go back and bump up the memory. So let's see, this takes a few minutes, so I'll pause the video. All right, the hard drive the image is created. Now let's go in here in the settings and change some things. System, base memory. No. Let's give it 16. And then we don't really need audio. You can turn that off. Network. Use the bridged. Because when we get in there, we're going to give it an internal IP. We don't want it natted from our own PC. And okay, let's start it. I should have made the screen bigger. Display bigger. All right. English. All right, here we're going to change. Give this a static IP and oh wait, no, that's wrong. 24, I think. 192. Now give this an IP of something that your router is not going to try, or it's not being used, or your router is going to try and allocate to. So what I've done in my router is I've set up my DHCP server to start addressing at 192.168.1.15 because all those numbers below that I'm using for my other nodes. I've got like 8 Flux nodes. My printer uses .10, and these other ones that I can use for my Kaspa, what other nodes I'm running. All right. Done, done, done. I think you can just use the entire disk. This is Kaspa node 2. Install OpenSSH. And don't worry about any of that other stuff. All right, I'll pause until this gets done. This takes a few minutes. All right, its install is complete. Let's reboot the machine. You get this message all the time, just hit enter. All right. You know what? Let's shut this down right now. Let me change the display so you can see it. 200%. All right. Now let's start it. There we go. All right. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to update this guy. So, update. Upgrade dash. Oops, sorry. Caps in there. Also like to do is set this up with my SSH keys I use to connect to my different servers. So I'll just copy the keys from one of my other nodes, and then it'd be real easy to putty in there. Putty's a lot easier to work with when you're setting up stuff on your server with cutting and pasting than it is going directly through the VirtualBox, which is why I do this. So all I'm doing here is I'm copying my authorized keys file from another node to my SSH directory on my regular user here. All right, because I just upgraded to a new kernel, I need to reboot. All right, so now let's minimize this. Let's open up Putty. I already have a Kaspa node set up. See, so I can log directly in without having to put a password if you set up your keys correctly. All right, so let me see if I can make this bigger. Now let's go to son of a text. All right. So a lot of he was talking about setting up firewall and all that stuff that you don't have to worry about on your internal network since your router is firewalling you. So at the time, this was for his version of Go here, but we're going to follow. We need to install Go first before we install Kaspa node. So this is from the Go website. So we're going to install Go. We need to be root. And I know Ubuntu, there's probably you can use the app to install it, but that might mess up what directories are in certain places when you're going to use their son of a text guide. So we're just going to use from the Go website and use their instructions. We don't have any installations of Go already. So need to download. Oh, I need to install curl because I'm going to download directly to here. Install curl. Oh, we already did install. Oh, I didn't know it was a default. Okay. So we want. Is this the latest? 1.21. We need the Linux one. Copy link address. And now let's go to son of a text, which is here. Curl-o. Whoops. Copy. But ours is 121. Thought it was 121. No, we don't have to build anything, so we just have to edit our profile. I think that's even in the Go instructions. Linux. Yeah, so we just need to put this in our profile. Oops. Just put it at the end. Good. I use VIM. Son of a text using Nano. So If you don't know how to use VIM, just use his guide. It's just what editor you're using to add that line to your, and then you need to source it, which basically just runs it, I guess, the word for it. All right, so now we type go version. So go is installed. So once we have that, we can install Kaspa via this. I think I had that web page on here before, but I don't anymore. All right, we're just gonna Kaspa go install. What happened? Oh, forgot you got to put, he left some stuff out here. You got to put some dependencies here, which is these guys. Build essential. Apt install. Build. No, let's try it. Did that work? Let's see if it's there in our go.bin directory. Yeah, it worked. All right, so next thing we got to do is we got to sync the node up. So what you're going to do is you're going to start a screen session to do this. So what you do is screen-s, and we'll call this guy node. And then you want to use this command if you're going to mine. All right. This is going to take a while, like hours probably. So what you do is you detach yourself from the screen, and the way you do that is you hit Control, A, and D. Hold the Control button down, hit the A, keep the Control button down, and then hit the D, and it'll detach your screen, but it leaves it still running. You ever want to see what screens you just do a screen-ls, and you see we have a screen out there. To reattach, screen-r, and then the name of the screen, in our case is node, and then you're right back where you were. So see, 1%. So hit Control A, D. Now to go back to son of a text, he shows you how you can keep up with the status of this thing. And the way you do this is you run this command. from your go.bin directory. See that Kaspa control, I guess. And as long as you got no errors here, that's a good thing. But the important number here is this virtual DAA score. That number has to get up to whatever is showing on the Kaspa Block Explorer web page, which is explorer.kaspa.org. And see this virtual DAA score, 566, way lower than our score here. When our node gets synced up, this number shown here should line up with this number here. Because this number will keep changing. It keeps going up as many blocks again, probably the 15 petahash. But when your number's in sync, when your virtual DAA score is in sync with this number here, then we can proceed to the next step, which in our case, we're going to create a wallet. We're going to run the wallet daemon, but your node needs to be synced first. So I'm going to pause the video and come back a couple hours and see where we are. All right. We're in sync now, as you can see. Virtual DA score there, and 566, 5205, 566, 5200. So we're good to go to the next step, which is, in son of a tug Substack, we need to configure the wallet. So in this, we need to start a new screen. All right. Screen slash S. You're in the GoBin directory. So Kaspa wallet create. All right. So I'm not going to dump out my secret thing, but there's a command for doing that. Dump on it to see, use Kaspa wallet. You dump unencrypted data to see your seed phase if you ever need to restore your wallet because you forgot your password. This is how you get your seed phrase with this command. So now we're going to start the daemon, which is right here. And the wallet is synced. So now we can get out of here, Control A, D. And now let's get us an address. All right, here's our address. This is what we're going to put into the KS0 for our wallet address to mine to. And we're not going to do this command, but you should to get your seed phrase. And now the firewall, if you're hosting this on a VPS, then yeah, you want to do your firewall. But now we're going to go and do the stratum bridge. But first, let me hold on just a sec. Let's store my address in Notepad so we can get it back. All right. Oops. So let's go to Matthew King's Substack. That's just right here. So we already have Build Essential, and ours is updated. Now, here's, if you're going to run firewall, which I'm not going to do here, but what I do want to note here is if you want to monitor, if you want to run that monitoring screen, and you want to check it from outside your, not on your internal network, then these ports here, not these first three, but these here, go ahead in your router and port forward these guys to your Kaspa node IP, your internal IP. These 4 ports here. You don't have to worry about SSH, but these 4 here, you need these for actually really just these 3 is all you need. 3000, 9090, 21114. Port forward those to your internal IP. And so, okay, now for Docker, okay, there's 2 ways to install this bridge. And the one we want is not actually this one, but the commands to, we're going to use Docker to install the monitoring stuff. Now, theoretically, you could also use Docker to install the bridge itself, but when I did that, I was having trouble with my KS0 connecting to it. I had to actually build it from source, the bridge, and run that in a screen, which we're going to do. But I'm still going to use Docker for running the monitoring stuff, the Grafana stuff, and the Prometheus, I guess it's called. Grafana. All right. So let's install these guys. So you need Docker and Docker Compose. All right, and we're not going to clone this guy because this version does not work with the KS0. What we want is this, but we need version 1.18. Trying to remember where that guy is at. We don't want, he's got, all right, hold on just a sec. Let me look, I forgot where that website is. All right, I found it. It's under his releases thing. So, like I said, I had trouble with 1.2.0. I mean, he put some variable difficulty kind of thing where it would auto detect with difficulty to set, but when I tried using it, my KS0 just crashed. So basically, we want the actual build from source too, because when I tried to just download this guy, it wasn't compatible with my libraries. He probably used a newer version of Linux or Ubuntu that had the newer GCC libraries that were on Ubuntu 2004. So we're just going to get the source code and build it. So we're going to download directly to our node. Copy link address. We don't want to be in the open directory though. Let's go over here. .xpf v1 dot cd Kaspa. All right, and let me see. We can go back to the build from source. That's for Kaspa. We want the stratum bridge. Do they have the commands in here, or just how to install from Docker? Looks like they just have the Docker stuff. Trying to remember how to compile. Manual build. All right, here we go. So cd command /kspa Kaspa bridge go build dot. There it is. Okay, before we run this guy, we need to change the config to make it work with IceRiver. And so I think our Dugan, well, he had the stuff here, but I remember what to do. So, config dot YAML. What we need to do is that's hard to read, isn't it? The minimum share difficulty. Make this guy. He suggested 85, but I've playing around and doing some research, like what they're setting on the mining pools and stuff. Oops. 512 works. So make the minimum share difficulty 512, and this config, this extranauts size, make this guy 2. All right, and save that. All right, and then let's make another screen to actually run the bridge. And then we'll set up the monitoring stuff. So screen-s, and we'll call them, oops, dash. We'll just call this guy bridge. And you just run it like this. Kaspa bridge. All right. Now The bridge is running, so Control A, B. All right, now to set up the monitoring stuff. Go back here to this directory. And let's see. Docker. Oh, I remember now. To get this to work, for some reason, I don't know. You have to put a version. You have to add something to this Docker Compose monitoring. You have to put a version at the beginning, version 3. So right here at the top, add a line that just says version, colon, double quote 3, double quote, and save it. All right, and then we're not going to compose all because we're not going to run this command because that builds the bridge, and we already manually built that guy. So we just want to do this command right here. All right. Now everything should be running. Now we should be able to bring up a web page that will have the stats for our bridge now, which is this. But that's my old one, so I think I put this on 14. Yay. And the default is admin. I'm not going to set up a new password now. All right, now the thing about this is these stats aren't going to be accurate till you run this guy for a while, because it takes a while for all these numbers to actually be accurate. But now we can change our KS0. Where's my notepad? Okay, so what you're going to do is take that wallet that we set up, put it here, but then at the end put a period and then KS0. That KS0 will be used as your worker name that'll show up in the bridge. And I'll show you what I mean in just a sec. And then change, put it just like this, stratum plus TCP, and then your IP and the port 5555. Save it, and then restart. All right, now we should be able to come back over here, reattach to our bridge node and see us connecting. Screen -R bridge. See, that's the IP of my KS0. Now it takes about 5 minutes before, the KS0, it starts all over the place with the hash rate until it finally, once you run it for a long time, I notice like once you run it for a day or something, the average is almost exactly 100 gigahash. Yeah, that's 5-minute hash rate's abnormal. But you see we are connected here, and we're connected here, and see how the worker name has KS0. Okay, in a few minutes, there, I'll stop the video for a few minutes, come back when things are going good. All right, we're connected now. The hash rate's not that high, but it just takes a while. But when you see this is normal, and then the stats, like I said, it's gonna take a while for these to run too. Leave up for a while for they're meaningful, but after a day or two, then they'll look like this, you know, this is really nice. So it tells you, your estimated time till you find a block, or you know, with normal luck, I guess, could get lucky like me, where yesterday I found 3 in one day, but on average, you should find a block, and this is telling you how long it should take. This is the time since I found my last block. This is like my average speed, or hash rate. This will tell you, and you can change like the focus. So right now I'm looking at like one day. So if I go back 2 days, it finds that other block that I found yesterday. And this is like how much my balance changed. This is my total balance on my wallet. But then you get stats for the whole network. And what I'm really interested in is when Kaspa converts over to the Rust, and they start generating 10 blocks a second, how that's going to affect how well this solo mining would work. Because right now I think they're doing 1 block a second, but might increase our luck for us little guys, considering the network's got 15 pentahash or whatever that number is. It's a big number. All right, so that's it. I hope you guys good luck if you're going to try this. And I guess that's it. Thanks for watching.